Today I'm going to talk about public ghost hunts at the yacht club that we did every month. What I've decided to do is just condense some of the fun stories from there, and so I'm doing May, June, and July of 2016 and this particular clip because it took me a long time to get Jacob to come out and trust me. He was the little boy that was in the attic there. Couldn't quite figure out exactly what his story was, but I was doing a lot of research and I was searching obituaries for a young boy between the ages of probably anywhere from 9 to 11 or 12. He was a bit older when he died, so I was gearing more towards the 12-year-old age. He had no memory, the spirit. He had no memory of anything, just he called him the captain, who was in a back office. He resided there, and he was always scary to the other ghosts. They never really liked him. Anyways, so a couple of episodes I had with Jacob were kind of interesting because I started flipping through pictures on my phone, and I just made a variety of pictures, toys, outdoor pictures, farms, things like that. Every time I came near a farm, he would activate the K2 to tell me to go back a page. So we had a little thing going. So I would say, okay, if you want me to pause, then make it go to the second green. If you want me to go backwards, make it go to yellow. If you want me to stop, make it go to red, which was like one of the highest numbers on the K2 meter. So he would play that game with me as long as this one guy who bothered him was not with my group. He was always up there in the attic, always trying to get Jacob to do things, but Jacob didn't like him, so he wouldn't play around. Anyways, I would have groups coming up there with me without him, and we would play that game. Another thing that we would do, but he really did that with the K2 meter. It was a lot of fun. He just always stayed in that attic though. I really do believe that this yacht club should become a historical landmark just because of the amount of spirits that are in there or that come there to visit all the time. That place is packed. It's they got people that they got spirits that live there, spirits that come and visit. It's a non-malevolent place, so besides the guy that stabbed me. Oh. Anyway, we're not talking about him today. But I did find Jacob, and he was a farmer, and this little boy died in 1840 something, I think it was, or anyway. The founder of the place, they did a video on it or something. They have all of the evidence and the proof because I wasn't the founder, so I didn't keep all of that. I found his last name, and when I said his last name with the combination between the pictures on the farm, he was going to cross over. And from a business end of the ghost hunters wanting him to be there, it was very interesting because he said he's going to come back. He just wants to go see if his family's there. And I said, okay, well, you can do that because they can come back and visit. And so Bob, who was in like the next section over, told me not to worry about it. If Jacob wanted to leave, he would come and entertain the masses, is what he said. And I was like, okay, well, that would work because they don't know who they're talking to. They're just trying to get a ghost to do something fun during public ghost hunts. So Bob was like, I can do that. I was like, great, awesome. That'd be super cool. So that was one that I actually helped cross over, that I felt a little guilty about crossing over because everybody was trying to communicate with Jacob, and I just wanted Jacob to go back to his family. Didn't put me in very good cahoots with a couple of the people in that ghost hunt, but the way he died was interesting. Some of the mediums who had come through there said that he had fallen off of the balcony onto the auditorium. They got it partially right because his memory was messed up. The only thing he remembered was falling and waking up in the fields and Captain coming and getting him and bringing him to the yacht club. He was disoriented. It happens with spirits. They don't see the light. They don't know that they're supposed to go there. They don't realize that they're dead, especially young people. Well, so he's been in this yacht club up in that attic all this time. And what was interesting is that he had forgotten until I started showing him farming pictures. And the story that I got from the obituary was that he was stacking those great big tall hay bales, the big round ones or big square ones. He was tossing them way up there, and he was way at the top of this wagon, and they put them as high as they could possibly put them to then travel back to the barn. He fell off of the top of that, and he fell straight down between the horses and the I don't know what it's called, thing that they harness the horses to on both sides of it for them to pull the wagons. He fell right between his legs, so went down from a high height right between his legs onto that pole that was connected to the horses, and he died due to complications from busting his nuts. And it's like he was very, very young, and he doesn't remember hardly anything. He was actually gone there in the field before the rescue could have gotten there, because they, again, horse and buggy era. There wasn't vehicles, there wasn't cars, there wasn't anything. This had happened shortly before the carnival thing, the park that they had with a Ferris wheel and everything, before that went up, because Jacob wasn't alive when that was there. That was very close to where his field was, that he was bringing in the hay. So that was Jacob and his story. Another person that I met towards the end, the first day that I met him, I noticed him when we were in the basement, and I was leading a group there, and there was ghosts there. It was really, really comical. There was a person, a real live person, who was sitting in one of the lounge chairs, and the kitchen was like back behind me, so I was able to see the kitchen and I could see this ghost. There was this ghost that was dressed in one of those short 1920 dresses, and she had a long cigarette, she had a raspy voice, she was wearing a black wig with wrinkles. I don't know why she didn't make herself younger like most people do, or most spirits do, but it was because of her and her antics with one of the real live people that were sitting there. There was this young man, probably in his 30s or so. He had a nice beard, bald head. This ghost, and he kept on going like this, kept on brushing his head, and I'm laughing. I'm trying so hard to not tell him what is going on, because this lady was sitting there playing with his head, calling him sexy, asking him to come back to the boat with her because her husband was still away on business and they can go and have themselves some fun. I was just like, are you kidding me? And then he's just like batting his head like this, and he's like, because it feels like spider webs, kind of, like something really light touching you, and I'm like, oh boy. And I'm laughing, and I'm trying to not laugh because I wasn't guiding this group. Our founder was, so I was just like in the background. I wasn't really supposed to say anything, but in the process of that, I heard a giggle that was like on this side of me towards the kitchen, and it was a very masculine giggle, so I was just like, what? So it drew my attention back to the kitchen, and I met Baxter, and Baxter was at the yacht club during the time when sailboats and multi people like rowing, they have the races like over in like Ivy League schools and stuff like that, where there's like a whole bunch of people sitting in a boat and they race it really fast, paddling it. he was there during that time, and it was his job to keep the sand off of the steps and off of the outside. So he was a sweeper. He was mentally impaired, and back then there really wasn't very many jobs for people like him to do. So he was very proud of his ability to keep the kitchen clean, to keep the sand out, and to keep, he was proud of that. And when you're trying to get somebody's name on the other side, it's like you have to either speed up or slow down the recordings. You have to it's different. There's always like a feedback. Even with being a medium, I have trouble with that feedback. I immediately jumped to his defense because I thought they named him Bastard. I thought everybody called him Bastard, and I didn't think that was very nice. So I kept saying, we need to come up with a different name for you. You don't need to be called Bastard. That's not a good name to be called. And he was giggling at me too, because he says, no, not that name. And I says, what is it? So he spelled it, and he says, B-A-X. X, he said. He kept saying X, and then I was like getting the impression of him making that X thing on the thing. And I says, oh, you're Baxter, not Bastard. I am so sorry. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh, jeez. So that was my funny part for down there. We've gotten other names down there also. We've gotten an Ernie. And I actually have that on recorder, to where our founder was saying, can you tell me your name? And then the recorder actually picked up Ernie. And I don't know ever what happened to that recording, because I had turned it in as a thing, but then I never saw anything more with it. It was very fun for those public ghost hunts at that yacht club. The stories that I had gone and researched, they were enlightening. And Baxter, he was amazing. And the lady, oh my gosh, that lady cracked me up, the way she was flirting with that guy and trying to get him to come back to the boat with her so that they could have fun. Anyways, this was three of the months of public ghost hunts. So, anyways, let me know what you think. You have yourselves a fantastic day.